I think, ladies and gentlemen, let's formally kick it off. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests. My name is Chris Late, and on behalf of WASA, the first workplace wellness association in Africa, I welcome you to our first webinar for employers. I want to say a big thank you for you taking the time to join us today. Before we begin, just a few quick reminders. We ask you to use the chat functionality to raise questions and to make comments. We'll respond to all your questions individually at the end. It is my pleasure to introduce George Marks, our chairman. George brings decades of leadership experience in occupational health, employee well-being, and strategic workforce development. He has played a pivotal role in shaping South Africa's wellness landscape, advising corporates, government bodies, and industry associations on how to embed health into business strategy. George is known for his ability to connect data, policy, and human impact, turning wellness from a cost center into a driver of performance. His work helped organizations move from fragmented programs to integrated, measurable well-being strategies. Today, he continues to champion innovation, inclusion, and resilience in the workplace. I've just been informed that George George, is Fonnis, is George on, or can I read his?
Unfortunately not,
Right.
Chris. I think
Okay.
perhaps if I may, I'll be taking care of George's notes, if I may,
Okay.
Chris,
Yes,
because
please.
unfortunately George could not attend. There was a technical problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. And on behalf of George, our chairperson, I'm going to welcome everybody to today's webinar, and I'm honored to open on George's behalf this vital conversation on the future of workplace well-being. We are starting to understand that workplace wellness is more than employee wellness. It is expanding to company wellness, customer wellness, and community wellness. Our theme today is building resilient workplaces, unlocking the value of employee well-being for sustainable business growth, and it is timely and a very urgent topic. Despite increasing investment in employee wellness programs, medical aid, and gap cover, employee well-being continues to decline. We are facing a paradox: more spending, less impact. Fragmentation, fatigue, and inefficiency are costing us not just money, but also performance and people. Today's session is designed to help us move from reactive programs to integrated strategy. We will explore 5 strategic lenses that align with WASA's vision for workplace wellness: performance, access, strategy, measurement, and prevention. Each lens will be brought to life by a leading expert in the field. We begin with Dr. Jared van Zuyndam, who will guide us through the human performance lens. He will introduce the corporate athlete framework and show how recovery, nutrition, and mental decompression are not perks, but performance drivers. Next, Dr. Reinder Nauta will speak on expanding access. He will address the missing middle of uninsured employees and share scalable models for workplace-based primary care. Then we will hear from Nozuku Motsuyane, who will tackle the employer imperative. She will demonstrate how to move from fragmented efforts to integrated strategy using WASA's wellness wheel and climate study tool. From there, we shift to measurement with Dr. Rika Viljoen, who will unpack the return on investment and value of investment of wellness. She will show how data can elevate wellness from a side initiative to a boardroom priority. We will then hear from Alan Fritz, a leading voice in preventative health, who will explore prevention as performance. You'll share examples of proactive interventions that reduce long-term costs and improve productivity. Finally, Christine Osborne will speak on modern employee assistance programs. She will show how to activate EAPs as strategic assets, moving beyond hotlines to full spectrum support that builds trust and culture. Each speaker brings not just expertise, but practical tools and real-world examples to help your organization take the next step. This is not just a webinar. It is a call to action. Wellness is not a cost. It is a capability. And through WASA, we can build resilient workplaces that thrive. Thank you for joining us. Let us begin. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Farnes, and hope George can perhaps join us later. It's now my privilege to introduce Dr. Jared van Zuidam, who is a sports medicine physician with deep experience in endurance sports and athlete recovery, and a passion for preventative medicine and digital health. He holds a medicine degree from the University of Witwatersrand, a diploma in anesthesia from CMSA, and a master's in sports medicine from the University of Pretoria. Dr. van Zuidam has served as team physician for elite cycling teams, including Team Dimension Data and UAE Team Emirates, supporting athletes through 4 Tour de France, 3 Giros d'Italia, and 2 Vueltas. His global experience spans events from Paris-Roubaix to Milan-San Marino, and even races in Malaysia, Australia, and Gabon. He is currently the Chief Medical and Innovation Officer at Strove and an honorary lecturer at Wits Institute for Sports and Health. A co-founder of Corona Fighter, Dr. van Zuidam combines clinical insights with digital innovation and advanced athlete care and performance science. Over to you, Jared.
Thanks, Chris. Well, that's quite an intro. You're going to have to work on your pronunciation of cycling races, though. We'll work on that one with you. So this afternoon, I'd like to attempt to provoke some thought, really. And I think we should start here. Are we winning when it comes to employee well-being? And unfortunately, it doesn't really look like it. Various surveys show burnout rates at all-time highs. Just 1/3 of employees are thriving, leaving 2/3 either struggling or suffering. According to a 2024 Gallup poll, 62% of employees are disengaged, and 75% of respondents reported experiencing some form of low mood. Disengagement isn't just a vibe problem, it's a performance problem. And globally, it translates into staggering productivity losses of around $8.8 trillion US dollars annually. And here's the paradox that we spoke about earlier. Despite growing spend on wellness and medical benefits, the needle is barely moving, as you can see from the graph. So we have to ask a harder question. What are we getting wrong in how we design work? How do I go next year? There we go. So as a, sorry, there you go. As a former team doctor working on races like the Tour de France and the Giro d'Italia, I look at this through a high performance lens. Coaches know a simple truth. performance equals training times recovery. A recovery score of 0 can wipe out any gains from a hard training block. Corporate athletes are asked to perform continuously, night and day, with little in the way of structured recovery. And when recovery collapses, performance collapses too, even if the training is world class. Even short breathers can make a difference. A 2022 meta-analysis of micro breaks of 10 minutes or less found clear boosts in vigor and reductions in fatigue. Performance gains were small and inconsistent for very short breaks, but improved when those breaks were slightly longer and intentional. So if we want better output, we cannot train harder while neglecting recovery. And that's the corporate athlete mindset. In sport, we call it overtraining syndrome. Push too hard, too long with inadequate recovery, and the system crashes. Performance drops, immunity dips, mood tanks. It can take months to reverse, and some athletes actually never get back to their previous level. In offices, it's called something different, burnout, but the effects can be just as devastating. In the bar chart here, we looked at data from our own users at Strove. The runaway blocker to activity and recovery isn't motivation, it's time. Most people do want to dedicate more time to their recovery and to things like exercise. So if time is the blocker, pep talks won't fix this. Environment beats willpower. The way we measure work through hours and visible responsiveness created a scorecard that rewards always on. The result is more meetings, more messages, after hours creep, fragmented days, and recovery stolen from sleep, movement, and relationships. If your calendar looks like Tetris and your inbox like confetti, perhaps your performance equation needs a recovery boost for some balance. But all of a sudden, we find ourselves at an inflection point. With the rise of generative AI in the workplace, intelligence is becoming a commodity, one that gets more affordable by the day. Generative tools produce useful first drafts, fast and cheap, raising baseline employee performance more so than seniors or experts. The performance gap is narrowing. 140 IQ AI assistants are better than us at drudge work, and the human edge shifts towards creativity, framing, taste, and judgment, rather than the number of emails sent or meetings attended. So the practical move is to feed rough ideas to our AI assistants to draft, compare, and plan. We keep our human judgment and energy for the calls that really matter. And that's how we claw minutes and maybe hours back. But here's the trap. Those minutes only matter if we reinvest them in focus and recovery, not in yet another meeting. So we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to influence the future of work. This is my little framework for a future of work that optimizes energy in order to feed creativity. Here's how it works. All creativity needs a spark, and that's why the loop starts with some morning movement. I am a sports physician after all. So walk, ride, run, stretch, or lift, it's really your choice. And it doesn't need to be exhaustive either, just enough to get the heart pumping and your brain ticking. Outdoors is better, but this could be a home workout or some stair climbs when you get to the office. Then during the cool down of that session or during your post-workout shower, do an idea sweep. So ask yourself, what's the one problem worth cracking today? And then capture those 3 bullets, write them down on a piece of paper. No judgment yet. Just write down every idea that pops into your head, and you might surprise yourself with the creative solutions already starting to flow. Then once you've sat down at your desk, use your newfound energy for a focused block of building with AI. So give those raw ideas to your AI assistant to draft, compare, and plan, and let AI compress the grunt work so you keep your judgment and taste for the calls that matter. Later, it's time for a deliberate shutdown to kickstart your recovery. Leave repetitive tasks for the afternoon when your energy and creativity naturally wane. End the day with a quick closing ritual. Note tomorrow's problem list to think about on the morning move. Schedule your movement session and then close the laptop. Evenings offer rest, play, and people. And that's how you arrive with enough energy to run the loop again the next day. So this is not about heroics. It's a repeatable operating system for knowledge work. Balance feeds creativity. And fortunately, those same behaviors improve health. But let's not forget about the role of bosses and managers. You can see on the outside of the circle there. Managers set the defaults, meeting-free early mornings, visible walking breaks, after hours, email policies. Culture follows leadership behavior, not aspirational posters on the bulletin board. So if AI can really give us our time back, what will we choose to do with it? Will we demand that employees fill their calendars with more busy work, 20-person Teams meetings, after-hours Slack messages? That's the treadmill path that leads to shallow work, poor performance, and burnout. Or will we choose the path on the left by allowing employees to spend the minutes on movement, focus time, and recovery, leading to better ideas, better judgment, and ultimately better work and thriving people? Which path do you want your teams on? Thanks. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Jared. It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Reinder Nota. He's one of the pioneering healthcare entrepreneurs in our country who developed low-income capitational models in South Africa. Excuse me, Reinder, I'm just going to take back control. There we go. He holds a medical degree from Stellenbosch University and advanced training in primary healthcare development from Mayadol University in Bangkok. Dr. Nota founded Carecross Health, one of South Africa's leading GP networks and managed care companies, and previously chaired both Occupational Health South Africa and CareWorks, a top HIV/AIDS management team. Over to you, Reinder.
Thank you. Let me now take control and let's see. Okay, where are we now? There. So I'm very privileged here to speak about what I think is probably one of the most uniquely South African tragedies, the gap between management, high-income earners, and the rest of South Africa's employees in specifically access to primary care and preventative care. And I think in my next few slides, I'm going to demonstrate why this has happened and also offer a solution. As Chris mentioned, I have been in the world of low-cost healthcare since, believe it or not, the late 1990s. I think Chris and I met nearly 30 years ago. So we've got a lot of experience in this, and I think there's some positive take homes and some hope. What has happened and why is there this gap? 80% of South African workers, and this is all give or take, but I think those of you that are listening in HR positions know this is true, have no real private healthcare cover. I'm going to focus on primary care, and most of South Africa's higher income earners are on very good medical schemes and have probably the world's best access. The result is that up to 15 million employed staff are poorly or not at all insured. To top that, and this has been mentioned by Jared as well, he used a global figure, but South Africa has a 12 to 21 billion rand cost, specifically to unplanned absenteeism. People are sick, they don't know what to do, they end up in a clinic, and there anything could happen. So we're still a nation where healthcare access is a privilege and not a right, and that is intolerable, and it can change. If I look at why is it that we are where we are? Traditionally, the lower income workers were able to rely on the state. And many of us, many years ago, remember that the state was a good and relatively easy way to let our low income employees go to, because it actually was functioning. Today, these clinics are overwhelmed and often defunct. It differs from province to province, but on average, should the clinic still be working well, they are completely overwhelmed. And in many other areas where they are not working well anymore, there's just no decent care. Another big reason is that the political climate that has focused heavily on NHI, National Health Insurance, as a solution, has given many corporates a little sit back and wait attitude. Often you hear, well, if NHI comes, our problems are solved, aren't they? And I think anyone that has read anything on this topic knows that that is not going to happen. A very other big reason, and this is also a hopeful reason that we'll see later, is that health tech and AI were not really around 10 years ago. In fact, I vividly remember that you couldn't even WhatsApp a few years ago. And today, the communication and access to information is incredibly advanced, and we can use that in accessing healthcare. And then another big factor was that providers are difficult customers, and I'm specifically talking about doctors, specialists, etc. And they need to be contracted and cooperated in the solution. And then medication, until about nearly a decade ago, was still quite expensive, but the Act has changed with the single exit pricing, so that a basic essential drug list medication, as per World Health Organization, are remarkably cheap. Just move on. Where's my layout? Sorry. But I just don't get to my next slide here. Oh, there we are. So in 2025, we have a workable solution. And in a way, as I said here, I speak on behalf of nearly 3,000 GPs and up to 50,000 patients who are already accessing this. But it's a small drop in the bucket. We have discovered that 200 Rand per month, give or take, is affordable, because affordability is very relative. It comes from the fact that many corporations and businesses are quite happy to contribute half of the existing lower income options. And half of, typically an option out there would be half of 450 or half of 600. And then we get to this figure. In other words, corporations could now pay all of it and let their employees join without them carrying half the burden. Often that burden is not really that big, but it's also a cultural thing where many lower income earners are just so used to no cover and they're quite comfortable with that. So this is a way to sort and solve for the employer's challenge on comprehensive cover for all their workers. The model that we have built has given access to a clinical team via WhatsApp. So for the first time, the doctor's voice or his ear is a WhatsApp away, and should healthcare not be completely able to be given at that level, referrals to all the 3,000 GPs I mentioned earlier are then possible. We do know that up to 80% of the population can actually use smartphones or WhatsApp. And if you are employed, it is nearly 100%. In other words, the access in this field is fantastic. Providers are also part of the solution, and they are clearly, absolutely non-negotiable. We still need doctors. AI is not going to replace that in the short run. AI will often help doctors to get to answers quicker. But at the sector of population that we look at, they need doctors and access to them. And then obviously medicine costs are drastically down. And if you take these things into account, and I'm not mentioning specifically dentistry and optometry, but that's also part of this, we can get to something like 200 Rand per month per worker, which is an incredible feat. So what do we do as a call to action? Now, I'm very impressed by WASA and their initiative here, and that is obviously one of the ways that we jointly go forward here. But basically, HR and brokers, they are the people that have knowledge on this, and they are the ones that can build a bridge between employers and their employees for particularly primary care and preventative care, a critical component. Tertiary care is often less important, although when it happens, we can still refer people to certain state facilities. But the day-to-day stuff that is costly and demoralizing is access to primary care. So we need to educate corporates on these solutions. We're not the only solution, but I'm showing you what we have achieved. And dignity, a critical element, where your lower income worker can access the same GP that the CEO of the company can. Productivity and retention are just some byproducts, as well as the obvious things like sick note management and absenteeism management. We can use incredible advances in technology, and I've mentioned to that, and so did Jared earlier. WASA is a facilitator that we think has a great future in coordinating this, as this particular seminar shows. And then, I think lastly, we have to shape the future. We cannot let this over to the state. And more importantly, it is actually, we cannot afford not to do it. The cost of doing something will be less than the cost of not doing something. So at that point, I end. And Chris, thank you so much for the opportunity, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Rander. Next is Nazuku Motswiwani, who is a strategic leader with deep experience in culture transformation, employee engagement, inclusion, and change management. With a proven track record across Sasol, Anglo American, and SAS, she led initiatives that impacted thousands, driving performance, wellness, and long-term cultural shifts, from implementing high-impact strategies to launching national programs like the Sugar Beverage Levy. Her work blends strategic vision with measurable outcomes. As a board member of WASA, she is passionate about fostering inclusive high-performance workplaces and brings a wealth of experience in talent development, organizational effectiveness, and wellness. She is currently busy with her doctorate on the impact of coaching on employee wellness. Over to you, Nazuku.
Wellness is a core leadership responsibility that impacts organizational culture and employee well-being. Wellness is essential not only professionally, but also personally for employees and the organization alike. Insights from real organizational impact highlight the importance of effective wellness strategies. Next. So the benefits seem to be more that are being provided, but there's less well-being that is being realized in organizations. Organizations are investing more in medical aid, gap cover, wellness programs, and support employees. But despite this, the more benefits that are being given, employee well-being is decreasing. This shows a gap between spending and actual support. The system's challenges are because the benefit system is costly, inadequate, and unsustainable, leaving employees feeling unsupported. This disconnect urges organizations to rethink how benefits relate to real employee well-being improvements. Next. There's fragmentation that is being seen. Separate departments manage mental health, Another department is there for financial coaching, and then the gym discounts are managed independently. This causes fragmentation. This fragmentation leads to employee confusion and duplicated efforts across wellness initiatives. HR struggles with vendor coordination, and leadership faces a rising cost without clear outcomes. And this lack of integration diminishes overall impact and success of wellness programs. It leads to inequity. Wellness benefits and their disparities often favor salaried employees and office-based employees over shift workers and contractors. This exclusion from the benefit harms employee morale for one. We are one organizations, but they seem to be better cousins than us. It also does injustice to the organizational culture and the retention rates. A more inclusive wellness approach is needed to reach all employees regardless of their role and status. One of the top problems that are being seen, as Dr. Rika had already mentioned, is lack of measurement. So tracking outcomes helps organizations to understand what wellness initiatives are and how effective they are and how ineffective they are when they are not delivered properly. Without measurement, wellness programs become one of those things that are being done, and they risk being cut due to lack of demonstrated impact. Some of the when organizations look at where to cut, they would cut on a budget where they don't see real value. Measuring wellness initiatives demonstrates value, it refines the strategy, and also it aligns efforts with the overall organizational goals. Next. Wellness as a strategy. Organizations should embed wellness as a core strategic priority rather than a simple perk or a compliance task. Wellness must be woven into the organizational culture, leadership, and daily operations for a lasting impact. Wellness has to be embedded into the core value drivers of the organization if we want to see or realize any sustainable impact. Resilience and also organizational growth. When it is not embedded in the values, it becomes one of the things that can be cut. Next. I'm going to talk to you about the WWASA Wellness Wheel and the climate study. The Wellness Wheel aligns physical, mental, financial, and social well-being to provide a holistic diagnostic framework for organizations. The gap that is identified and the interventions that can be done. Employers use the Wellness Wheel to map current offerings, to identify gaps, and to define imperative wellness interventions. The climate study, on the other hand, is a tool of assessment. The climate study is a tool that is used to measure wellness environment aspects like culture, access, equity, and organizational impact. Together, the Wellness Wheel and the climate study transform wellness into a measurable and actionable organizational strategy. I'm going to share a story, a success story of a case study of a mine, of a particular mining company, where the company redesigned the shift schedules and introduced financial coaching to improve worker wellness and productivity, launching peer support groups, and this fostered a supportive work environment, enhancing employee wellness and collaboration. Wellness initiatives that were introduced led to a 15% rise in productivity and a 25% reduction in safety incidents within a year. So there's a tech sector transformation that we must have at the back of our minds. The burnout risk assessment. The firm used a specialized tool to identify burnout risks, revealing junior staff as being the most impacted by the burnout. They also introduced intervention strategies like mentorship, workload balancing, and mental health days where staff were supported and were given a ability to be vulnerable. The positive outcomes were the engagement scores that improved and the employee turnover that decreased due to the targeted wellness initiatives. The return on investment was that wellness return on investment includes reduced absenteeism, lower health care claims, and an enhanced employee productivity. And the value on investment reflects increased engagement, morale, innovation, and improved brand reputation from wellness efforts. Combined business benefit of the ROI and the VOI together creates a strong business case for investing in wellness, highlighting tangible and intangible gains. So let's make wellness the core of everything we do. Embedding wellness in systems, integrating wellness into HR KPIs, to policies and leadership development to create lasting organizational impact. Build a culture of care, fostering organizational culture by celebrating wellness wins and encouraging storytelling amongst employees. Sustaining wellness momentum, create a strong community around wellness to maintain engagement and support continuous improvement. Wellness should be wellness for all. It can't be wellness for permanent employees. Wellness programs should be accessible to all employees regardless of insurance or privilege. Incorporating diversity, accessibility, and inclusion ensures all voices that need to be addressed. Technology, personalized, and scales wellness support must complement empathy and trust. You can only have empathy, show empathy, and gain trust when you include us all. You see us, you know us, you acknowledge us as your employees. This is a call to all employers. Thank you.
Next speaker, which is Dr. Rika Viljoen. Dr. Rika Viljoen was the vice chair of the South African Board for People Practices for several years. She's a seasoned human resource executive coach and scholar practitioner, specializing in organizational development, cultural integration, and strategic change. With over 2 decades of experience in mergers and acquisitions, she has led leadership placement, team optimization, and cultural transformation initiatives across global organizations. Dr. Viljoen's work bridges strategy, execution with human dynamics, focusing on values, leadership behavior, and inclusive cultures. Her doctoral research on inclusivity has been implemented in 42 countries, engaging over 100,000 participants, and was recognized by the Academy of Management as a top contribution to the field. She is also the recipient of the prestigious CEO Award from the Institute of People Management. Over to you, Rika.
Thank you very much, and welcome to everybody here, and thank you for the opportunity to today share with you a bit of my thoughts. So, wellness is a topic that's extremely close to my heart. For me, wellness maybe equates to functionality, as different people view wellness particularly different. And I guess that will be part of the conversation that I will have today. My topic is measure what matters. Maybe if I speak a bit to measure, that's a doing thing. And what matters is a being, existential thing. So I would like to start with the tangible value of investment. Return on investment is a traditional way of looking at benefit of organizations, in benefit, really. It's really important as well to do that for wellness programs, wellness initiatives. However, VOI looks the value of investment, look at the intangible part thereof. So ROI then becomes a slice of VOI. And just for reference, on the right side of the slide, I emphasized what constitutes VOI. To summarize that, the tangible parts that we should measure, it's sometimes hard to measure. Cost savings, productivity, reduce absenteeism, trends, those types of things. But it's good if we can move forward and past that it's not as reductionist and lagging into the human and cultural value. Things like engagement, inclusion, trust, and psychological safety. Strategic in the future value as well, the resilience in the system to perform, the human energy in the system to perform, social and stakeholder value, the reputation, what the community thinks of us, the outside lens there of the containing system, as well then as I said before, it is a subset, a slice thereof. So I thought that I could maybe share a story where I got everything wrong. It was in Mali. It was in 2008. And I was actually much younger. I'm a grandmother now, so I'm really proud of that. But then I just finished my PhD. It was an award-winning PhD from the Academy of Management. And I was selected on a very famous, actually, consulting group to go and sort out trust in a mining house in Mali. It's an international mining house. And lo and behold, everything that I thought I knew about wellness, trust, wasn't. It didn't hold the case. It didn't hold water in that system. For context, Mali then, I think today is maybe the fourth, it was then the third poorest country in the world. And the social construct of that the country was Muslim, French-speaking on a local language, Bambara, which is symbolism. People study in Russia, so communists, and then, of course, the collectivism in that system that I totally missed. So we decided that we found with our solid research that trust is low, people don't trust each other, they don't spend energy on wellness, things like that, only to realize how it's constructed is significantly different. Questions that's typically asked are, work-life balance, for psychological well-being, things like, do you work to have off? Or, no, people don't work there to have off, they work to live. Time flies when I'm at work. No, it's not true. It's not a construct. Time doesn't fly. Human life flies by. The work will still be here, but the human will not be there. It's totally deconstructed. And identity was viewed in the collective, the well-being of the collective, not the well-being of the own. That really helped me to go back to my assumptions about things like wellness, inclusivity, and aspects of that nature, identity. As that symbol that comes from Western Africa, the symbol of the Akan symbol, Adrinka symbol, the Sankofa shows, it's a symbol of a bird that looks back and see a dot on its back. And the interpretation is so beautiful for me. It is, there's no shame whatsoever to look back. The shame is not to do something around. There's another story from Mali that I really enjoyed. It's also told in Ghana. It is that the person that walks in the front with a sickle doesn't know whether you walk straight or not straight. And my topic about measurement, if you measure it correctly or maybe inclusively, rich enough, shows where we walk wrong, and it look at lag and lead indicators in terms of measurement. So that helped me to understand that we must do things differently. And that we should deconstruct it maybe from a strategic HR perspective, strategic organizational perspective, a multicultural perspective on different layers, on individual wellness, as well as collective wellness, organizational wellness, group wellness, societal wellness. And another thing about OD, organizational development and change, is that you don't intervene on one thing at a time. You intervene at quite a few things at the same time. You intervene individually, group, organizationally, as well as societal or containing system. Individually, what we often do not consider is psychological safety, stability, and well-being. And it's defined different for different people, significantly different. If you are busy surviving, well-being rests on I'm surviving. I have food, I have drink, I have my medicine. If it rests on culture or tribe or collective or my society, my belonging in my space and stories and richness, then it means totally something else. So this thing of really have work life is sometimes in the elected few. It's also different lower in the organization from the senior executives. That's just as at risk from sustainability perspective. It has to do with psychological safety and trust. It has to do with meaning and purpose. What gives you meaning? What is your existential crisis? What are you busy solving if you were playing Monopoly of life? It's to that we need to speak and almost translate our wellness initiatives to deal with those existential problems so that there's a larger intake of the thing that the wellness initiative or strategy that will really render organizational sustainable. It has to do with emotional capability as well as the adaptive capability. Emotional EQ means here, how do I cope with my environment? Adaptive intelligence means it's my biopsychosocial adaptation to changing life conditions. I work in the DRC, in the mining space, there's civil war. If there's civil war, people ask significantly different questions than what they ask in other spaces. It has to do with my autonomy. Do I take care of self? Do I take my tablets? Do I eat? Do I sleep? If I get a mattress from the wellness, from the mind to sleep well, do I give it to somebody else, my uncle, or do I actually keep it? It has to do with agency. Can I step up? It's the old internal locus of control that leads to things like behavior-based safety. It leads to things like productivity in organization. It leads to healthcare safety, even in other spaces, or customer centricity in retail. Social belonging and inclusion, how is that constructed? So sometimes you need to intervene on the group level with these initiatives, not on the individual level. If you do something for the father, it maybe means more than doing it for the individual. Security and stability. To which degree does it give me security? Do I feel secure? And it's different for different groupings in society. Organizationally, if I just go there and maybe if I explain the symbol here, it is a symbol of a Ghanaian symbol of two crocodiles, but they share a tummy. So if I go one way and you go another way, we both will be less off or die. We won't eat. And wellness for me is like this. It is shared in the organization. It's not a one person that's busy with his well-being. It is an organizational quest to make it sustainable. So with regards to the collective wellness, inclusive and ethical leadership is important. It's different for different people. Culture of trust and engagement. To which degree do I feel I can bring myself to the organizational table? Do I have a voice? Can I share? Do I feel safe enough to tell you that I'm struggling? Do I feel safe enough to declare that I need medicine and sleep or rest? Do I need the money so I don't? Sustainable work design is coming through. It's how do we structure positions so it becomes the doing part of the organization. Capacity to change and adaptation becomes important. This how do we build capacity, leadership development, change management session, team building sessions that is trust on the different layers. Investment where we should invest in, that there's capacity to perform in the human energy in the system too, that will result in business indicators that we measure. So I'm speaking about the lag indicators that creates a sense of sustainability and functionality. With regards to the investment, I spoke about that, external legitimacy. There it has to do with, are we a reputable organization? To which degree do we step up in the community? Do we service the community and our social responsibility? There's definitely individual and the collective well-being, wellness, functionality that we need to consult as practitioners and measure, else it will not happen. So I'm going to stop with the last slide. That is a book that I just would like to present. I'm academic of nature as well as practitioner, scientific practitioner approach. In the book on organizational diagnostic distributed by Knowledge Resources, Martins and myself, we spoke about the importance of measuring what a system can hear. And the book is really about trust and how do one measure that. But it's academic of nature. So if we understand the construct, we can measure it. There's a section on multiculturalism, how one can measure that. And then I'm not too preoccupied what specific tool it is, as long as there has a predictive capability, as long as there's face validity, as long as it looks for the whole VOI definition and not one part thereof, that we have dashboards, pulses, in a language that everybody in the system really can understand and trust, not as an add-on that's cut the minute that there's operational challenges. So if I summarize this, how can we measure in multicultural, sensitive ways that's truly inclusive and like medicine in the system? Then the whole wellness initiative can be like we also say in Africa. If you push a good person up the tree, he brings fruit for everybody. So understanding the psychological, the biopsychosocial drivers on individual, group, organizational, and the societal domain will render it sustainable and functional and well if we do it in an inclusive manner. I thank you very much for your audience, and it was lovely speaking to you about a topic that's really important to me.
Thank you so much, Rika. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Alan Fritz is our next speaker. He's a seasoned executive with a strong track record in strategic leadership, operations, and organizational development. With decades of experience across both public and private sectors, Alan has led high-impact initiatives that drive performance, innovation, and sustainable growth. He is known for his ability to align people, processes, and technology to deliver measurable results. Alan has held senior roles in business transformation, workforce strategy, and shareholder engagement, often serving as a bridge between executive leadership and operational teams. His career reflects a commitment to excellence, collaboration, and continuous improvement. Alan brings a deep understanding of governance, compliance, and change management, and is passionate about building resilient organizations that thrive in complex environments. And he is the vice chairman of WWASA. Outside of work, Alan is the president of Swimming SA and an advocate for mentorship and community development, often contributing his time to initiatives that support emerging leaders and inclusive growth. Over to you, Alan.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much, Chris. I'm going to take control. Once again, afternoon, everyone. My little pep talk today goes around how prevention contributes to performance. Thank you very much, Chris, for the introduction. I just maybe want to highlight one thing before I speak, is that one can make a contribution. It doesn't matter where you are, whether it's socially, our country needs people that can contribute to socio-economic environments. And I firmly want to encourage some of you that are in this space to really contribute to society in a broader context. Yes, Chris, I am more or less a strategist more than anything, but my role really in building organizations is important, and I'm sure that it contributes to the overall economic development of our country. Once again, good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege for me to speak to you today about the shift that is long overdue, not just in healthcare, but in how we think about the workplace itself. That shift is from treatment to prevention. You know, we are a curative society. If you visit your practitioner, the likelihood that you'd walk out with a bag of pills is quite high. So prevention is generally better than cure. From reacting to illness to proactively building health, from waiting for problems to designing resilience, let us start with the simple truth. Prevention is smarter, prevention is cheaper, and of course, prevention is more sustainable than cure. Yet in most organizations, we still wait for employees to get sick before we act. We wait for burnout before offering support. We wait for chronic conditions before adjusting workloads. We wait for claims before reviewing benefits. The reactive model is costing us financially, operationally, and culturally a lot as a country. The preventative future is about flipping that model. It's about embedding wellness into the rhythm of work. It's about designing environments. It's about institutionalizing policies and cultures that promote health before illness strikes. And of course, it's about recognizing that employees are not just funders of care, they are architects of well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, let's unpack what prevention looks like in real practice. Number one, screening and early detections, regular health screenings, blood pressure, glucose, cholesterol, mental health, can catch issues early. They are simple and affordable and powerful. When offered on-site or through mobile units, they increase uptake and reduce barriers. Number two, lifestyle programs, fitness challenges, nutrition, coaching, smoking cessation, sleep hygiene programs help employees build healthier habits. These are not just nice to haves. They reduce long-term risk and improve daily energy and productivity. Number three, mental health support, stress management workshops, mindfulness sessions, and access to counseling help prevent burnout, anxiety, and depression. Mental health is not just a crisis response, it's a daily practice in organizations. Number four, digital coaching and nudges apps and platforms can provide personalized guidance to your employees. Reminders to hydrate, stretch, breathe, or take breaks. These micro interventions build resilience over a period of time. Number five, manager training. Leaders play a critical role in prevention. When managers are trained and empowered to spot early signs of distress, adjust workloads, and foster psychological safety, they become frontline wellness champions. Let me share with you a case study. A manufacturing firm introduced quarterly wellness days, screenings, fitness sessions, and mental health workshops. Participation was voluntary but encouraged. Within a year, chronic conditions claims dropped by 40%. Anybody's language, that is really a big drop. And productivity rose by 10%. Employees reported feeling valued, energized, and connected to the organization. Another example is a tech company launched a preventative wellness passport. Employees earned points for attending screening, joining fitness challenges, and completing mental health modules. Points translated into extra leave, wellness vouchers, and recognition. Engagement in the organization soared, absenteeism reduced. These are not isolated wins. They are part of a growing movement where prevention is the foundation of performance. Now let us talk economics. Prevention reduces claims, absenteeism, and turnover. It improves focus on morale and retention. The Global Wellness Institute estimated every dollar invested in prevention yields up to $6 in savings. But beyond return of investment, there is VOI, as we've heard earlier on, that is value on investments. Prevention builds trust, culture, and brand reputation. It also supports sustainability. Healthy employees use fewer resources, generate less waste, and contribute to community well-being. Prevention aligns with ESG goals, environmental, social, and governance. It's not just good for people, it's good for the planet and for profits too. So what's holding us back? Sometimes it's inertia. We have always done it this way. Sometimes it's fear. What if we invest and don't see results is often a question. Sometimes it's fragmentation. Ozuko spoke a lot about fragmentation in the workplace. Who owns wellness? Is it HR? Is it operational environment? Is it the top leadership? And sometimes it is equity. How do we reach shift workers, remote staff, and lower income employees is often a question asked by line management. The answer is strategy. Prevention must be planned, prevention must be funded, and prevention must be measured. We've heard earlier speakers speak about measuring. It must be inclusive, accessible, and embedded into strategic imperatives. It must be owned by leadership. It must be supported by HR, and it must be embraced by the entire work teams. Of course, technology can help. Wearables, apps, platforms, personalized prevention, but tech must be paired with human connection. Wellness is relational. It's about empathy. It's about trust. It's about a shared purpose. Measurement is key. Track participation, satisfaction, and outcomes. Segment by role, location, and demographic. Use dashboards. Use your pulse surveys. Use dipstick surveys and benchmarks. WWASA climate study tool can support this interventions, providing insight into wellness, culture, access, and impact. So what is the call to action for organizations? Audit your current wellness strategy. Is it reactive or is it preventative? Map your employee journey. Where are the stress points in your organization? Where is the recovery required or needed? Design preventative interventions, screening, coaching, mental health support. Train your line managers, make them wellness allies or ambassadors. Use technology wisely. Personalize support. Measure the impact. Track the return on investment and the value on investment. Share your journey. Contribute to WASA's knowledge base. For us, the preventative future is not a trend. It is transformation. It is about building workplaces where health is designed, not just repaired. Where resilience is cultivated, not just hoped for. where employees thrive, not just survive. Let us move from reactive to proactive environments. Let us lead preventative into the future. I thank you, Chris, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Alan. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce Christine Osborne. She is a wellness entrepreneur with years of experience driving employee well-being and productivity across industries. As the co-founder of Company Wellness Solutions, she leads a team that designs tailored wellness programs using data-driven insight and empathetic service. Sorry. Christine also founded MyCare24, a digital health platform connecting individuals with wellness experts for convenient, impactful support. Through both ventures, she empowers organizations and individuals to achieve their wellness goals and unlock their full potential. Over to you, Christine.
Thanks, Chris. Love the introductions here. Best. I'm going to take control quickly so then I can. There we go. Thank you, everyone. This is actually a very exciting topic for me. Why do EAPs fall flat? Right, this is a big topic globally. Just before COVID, you guys were sitting at around a 3% utilization. Now, after COVID, we're sitting at about a 5 to 7% utilization. So it has broken the stigma slightly when it comes to wellness in the workplace. But EAPs specifically are falling flat because of two main reasons. One, you've got a restricted EAP and a disengaged EAP partner. Let's break these down a little bit more so we can see exactly how this is impacted. A limited diversity EAP, there's no diversity in EAPs anymore. We can't expect that the employees can go reach out to a wellness practitioner and not have an option for first language, not have an option for the demographic, even down to the gender. We have to be relatable. We have to be creating that rapport for the employees to be able to feel comfortable speaking about their problems. The reason why EAPs are also very, very flat with utilization is because it's restricted. You can't expect an employee or an individual or a human to deal with the issues in 6 sessions for that year. We need to start looking at EAP providers that have unlimited and uncapped sessions. Underskilled providers, we see it more and more specifically in South Africa that EAPs are being serviced by social workers. This is a very old way of working. Social workers have a space in our economy. They are there to deal with stresses in community and there to deal with the stresses in the homes, not in the workplace. We need to start making sure the EAPs have decent quality service providers in them to support your staff in the right way. Most EAPs have hidden platforms. It's not fair. What we need to do is show everyone those platforms. You need to be mindful when you are choosing these EAP providers. You got to have someone turnkey. When the platforms are hidden, it's because the EAP providers are trying to make more profits based on the low utilization. We've got to drive that utilization up and choose the right partner who wants to see that data. Passive partners, as I said, disengaged wellness partners. Yes, wellness is owned by HR, but it really is up to that service provider to engage with the staff, to provide management with the tools, to ensure that HR has a framework and a wellness program embedded. So there is an element, yes, that the company needs to take ownership of, but people need to find a good EAP partner, a good wellness partner who wants to drive wellness in the workplace. No tools. EAPs are falling flat because no one knows how to refer. No one knows how to use the services. Again, with the hidden platforms, it doesn't help. We need to make sure that these have digital platforms for all LSM levels. We've got to make sure that we touch in every different person and have a platform for everyone. Poor reporting. EAPs are falling flat and wellness programs are not working because no one's actually looking at the data. We need to start looking at the trends. We can't have these wellness days that don't have intention. We need to look at the data, provide the employees with more tools and education relating to the challenges that they're facing. As mentioned by a past speaker there, we've got to focus on group as well as the individuals. Okay, so the solution. Boosting the EAP. What we need to be looking for, right? We need to have a diverse, uncapped support solution. Like I mentioned, we got to be able to create that rapport. Your EAP provider should allow your employees to swap and change service providers or wellness coaches until they feel comfortable with someone. We need to create that inclusivity. We can't not help everyone anymore. We've got to do it for the masses. Got to be flexible. An EAP provider has to work with the company's production, right? So if you have shift workers, if you're a night shift organization, you've got to have an EAP that's going to allow your employees the ability to not have to take off work in order to get that support. So look for that flexibility. You can't have a wellness program that's only available from 8 till 5. It's got to be 24/7. It's got to be available, and that creates trust. Create the visible platforms. Again, ensure you have an EAP that has a toll-free number all the way through to a digital app. We've seen more and more, a lot of organizations are adopting an AI EAP tech-based solution, which is not actually giving support. Half your staff can use it. The lower LSM can't. You've got the workforce that's not been able to tap into the solution. And again, AI can only help you so much. We've got to make sure the platforms are visible and that you have a number of them. Regular engagement. Again, we've got to be intentional. If you're not engaging with your staff, they're not going to know that the EAP exists. If we're talking wellness, we're talking EAP, we're focusing on the brand that's supposed to support the employees, people become trustworthy. They start understanding that it's there. It becomes part of the company culture. And this is why these regular campaigns are so important in an organization. Empower your managers and HR. This builds a wellness culture. Yes, they're there to refer, but they also need to understand how to use the service for themselves. If burnout starts from the top, it really has an effect on the bottom. We've got to make sure everyone's taken care of and in the same manner. Real-time dashboards. You as an organization should be able to make decisions fast. You can't wait for a quarterly report when it comes to wellness. You need to be able to see right now, today or tonight, what's going on in your organization. This helps you mitigate risks. This will lay down the foundation for lower injuries on site, lower absenteeism, lower presenteeism. You need to be able to see what's going on in your organization through the EAP. So we have to boost the utilization so we can see the different trends. Okay, get an engaged partner. The only way those EAPs are going to be increased is if you have a partner that wants that utilization. Find a partner that looks for that data. Find a partner that has other services that's connected to that data, so then you can have a holistic wellness partner. Okay, so this is my little case study. I find it quite fascinating. We were lucky enough to have actually a few retailers, but this is 2 of my largest retailers, stay with us for about 3 years. And I try to show you how utilization can actually be kept up. So the difference between my 2 retailers is that the one started with a very big launch, very successful, but then decided to slowly taper off wellness, didn't really have much of a program in place, kind of got forgotten, lost in the mix, and the engagements were very far and few between. We see in the white side of things here, on the white line, that this service provider, or sorry, this retailer, they decided to do a smaller little launch and continuous little engagement. So let me show you here. There's your launch day. These 2 providers came from an external EAP, and the one had an in-house EAP where they were supporting through the on-site clinic. They were all sitting below 3%. The one was 3 and 2% utilization before they came onto our program. We saw with an impactful launch, you got around about a 7 to 10% increase in utilization, and that stayed there as a stagnant just by educating your employees on what the service has and the limitations of it. The little purple dots were continuous intentional, beg your pardon, engagements, focusing on burnout, dragging them back into the EAP, focusing on physical wellness, dragging them back into the EAP for support. Wellness days, again, very important to make sure that we check in the wellness stats of your employees. But one wellness day a year where discovery comes in, pricks everyone and leaves is not going to make a difference. We need to be intentional. We need to tie things back into the EAP, and we need to be running wellness days that are looking at the data and the trends so we can give your employees the tools. We launched within the 3 years that we had the 2 retailers, we launched an HR portal that came with a lot of tools, a lot of referrals, a lot of induction programs. That created an increase of 7% across the board, right? Finding an EAP provider again who's looking to be innovative, looking to create more solutions for the organization is really what you guys need to find. There's your management portal, providing more tools. There's another wellness day. So we can clearly see in order to keep the utilization, you can't just have a tick box type EAP. It's got to be moving. It's got to be growing. It's got to be diverse. And it's consistently changing as well. So you have to be able to pivot, and you need a partner to pivot with you. I wanted to give everyone here quick ways to boost your EAP. If you may not have the right partner right now, it's not the end of the world. There are definitely ways that we can quickly get that utilization. Firstly, managerial directors. Top down, guys. We need to provide a little cheat sheet for everyone, make a nice little referral form for the management, have a quick session with them, explain how to do it, make sure they understand the limitations of the EAP before they go speaking to the staff. You don't want to create disengagement in the product either. Okay, employee education and reminders. Quickly, if you have an EAP, make sure you schedule short little intermittent educational workshops. Make sure you have monthly comms. Stick with the program, push the program, do little desk drops. Make sure the program is in everyone's face all the time. Do a little micro launch of a campaign and tie it back into the EAP, exactly like I was saying. There's nothing stopping the organization from downloading a nice burnout article, connecting those platforms onto that article, sharing with the teams and sharing with the individuals to really tie things back. We can't be providing people with education and no place to go get the support. So you really got to make sure you tie those two in. Cool. Simplify the access. Go check your EAP right now, see what platforms you have, identify 2 main platforms for your organization that's going to work for you. You don't need to market all 7 of them. Choose what's going to work for your organization and your employees. Consider the tech capabilities. Consider when they go home, they may not have data. Consider that they may not have a big smartphone that can actually hold a very big app. Take those 2 platforms, post it on all of your employee education. If you can put it on the pay slip, put it on the pay slip. You really got to have it everywhere. Okay, create trust. Share your success stories. Try find a champion. Try find someone in the workplace who wants to drive this. The more an employee talks about how they've been helped, the more other employees want to get helped. This is breaking the stigma. This is getting people to talk about their wins. Post it. Make a newsletter internally about how someone's growing, how someone's been helped. This is really going to create that trust. Action those insights. We see it over and over again that wellness partners are coming in, assessing the organization, but actually not doing anything afterwards. Employees are getting upset that they are doing these assessments, but no one's actually hearing them. So make sure when you do something and you identify trends and you identify different insights in your data, that then you provide the employees with something tangible, right? Whether it be a little burnout workshop, whether it be a Roma dough making stalls, something fun, something to say that you have heard them. Okay. Now, this is what you should be getting from your EAP partner, right? And this is my last slide, so I did want to put it here. You need to find a long-term partner that's going to be engaged with an uncapped EAP that's diverse enough and inclusive enough for South African employees and any other organization or up Africa or globally. Have something that's consistent. You should be seeing a return on investment. For every R1 spent, you get R3 back. You should see that decrease in absenteeism and presenteeism. Guys, this is costing presenteeism, it's costing the economy. I think I checked last, 235 billion rand. This is low-hanging fruit. We can tap into this quite quickly. Help your employees solve their day-to-day challenges through a good program, right? I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry if I did talk a bit fast. I do get excited about these topics in the EAP. I hope I managed to provide a little bit of information to everyone as well. And back over to you, Chris.
Thank you so much, Christine, and yeah, good luck with doing the good work there. So as we draw this impactful webinar to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on the powerful insights shared by each of our speakers. Dr. Jared van Zuidam reminded us that recovery isn't a pause from performance. It's the very foundation of it. We must train, fuel, and recover like the corporate athletes we are. Dr. Reinder Nota highlighted the urgent need to expand access, affirming that healthcare must be a right, not a privilege. Employers have the power to bridge this gap and unlock healthier, more productive teams. Nazuku Mutsuwani challenged us to rethink wellness as a leadership imperative. When leaders take ownership, fragmented perks evolve into integrated strategies that drive transformation. Then Dr. Rika Viljoen emphasized that wellness delivers more than cost savings. It builds culture, trust, and innovation. By measuring what matters, we, we reveal its undeniable value. Alan Fritz showed us that prevention isn't just good medicine, it's smart business. Early interventions protect people and elevate performance. And then lastly, Christine Osborne closed with a powerful reminder that EAP's employment assistance programs are more than hotlines. They are cultural anchors in the organization. When leaders activate them, trust grows and well-being thrives. Together, these voices have painted a clear path forward. Wellness is not a cost, it's a capability. Let's lead the shift. So now let's look at how WASA becomes your strategic partner in building a healthier, more productive workplace. WASA exists to help employers embed wellness into their organization's DNA, not as a HR add-on, but as a strategic capability. We offer practical tools, insights, and partnerships to make wellness measurable, inclusive, and aligned with business goals. Our wellness wheel provides a holistic framework that integrates physical, mental, financial, and social well-being, helping organizations map their current landscape and identify real gaps. The climate study tool turns those insights into data, enabling leaders to measure culture, access inclusion, and leadership impact across departments. And our knowledge vault makes strategy practical. It's a living repository of research, case studies, and toolkits to help you design and sustain wellness initiatives. This slide is not just about logos, it's about the partnership. WASA works alongside you, co-creating solutions that make sense for your people and your budget. For early adopters, we offer a founder employer recognition of a lifetime membership at 50% discount, symbolizing your organization's leadership in shaping workplace wellness in South Africa. Together, we can move wellness from intention to implementation and from cost to competitive advantage. That is the power of partnering with WASA. We've spoke about strategy, systems, and solutions. Now let's explore what exactly is meant by investing, in your workplace wellness through WASA. When you partner with WASA, the Workplace Wellness Association of South Africa, you're not just buying access to tools, you're investing into an ecosystem designed to build wellness capacity inside your organization. This table shows the total value you can receive through WASA membership. Collectively, the Climate Study Knowledge Vaults, Wellness Support System, and our research assets amount to more than 260,000 Rand in annual value. So you don't have to spend that money. All you have to spend is R8 per employee per year. And if you join before the end of the year, you qualify for the the R4 per employee per month. So please consider that. I mean, the climate study and audit alone is valued at more than 75,000 Rand. And that can really help you measure your culture, access, and inclusion, turning data into actionable strategy. The wellness support, sorry, I'm going to just go forward. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, for less than 40 Rand per employee per year, which is less than the cost of a cup of coffee per month, you can position your organization as a national leader in employee well-being. This is not a cost. It is an investment in resilience, productivity, and brand leadership. Join us as a founder employer and help redefine the workplace wellness of Southern Africa. Please allow me to show a quick 2-minute video of what employers get when they partner with WASA. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the close. Thank you very much. Apologies that we went 5 minutes over the time. We will email the link to the online application after the webinar, and I'm now opening the floor for any questions. I did see in the chat there was a number of people that asked if the slides will be made available. Yes, it will. A link to the webinar will also be posted on YouTube, as well as a summary of the afternoon will be emailed to you. If there's anyone with a specific question, please feel free to just raise your hand. Oh, sorry, there we go. Namonde. Okay.
Thank you so much. My video is not opening. I'm not sure what's happening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for a great webinar. Great presenters, very insightful, thought-provoking. I loved it very much. My only issue remains, how do we help employers reduce the cost of wellness initiatives? Because most employers find themselves with multiple initiatives. Sometimes there's cost duplication. They pay for the occupational health clinic, they pay for the EAP, they pay for the medical aid, they also cover the employee in the case where they are out of funds they need to cover. And ultimately, you know, because we are fragmented and sort of positioned differently depending on where you are on the ladder, the employer bears the most costs. So how do these initiatives help? And I'm asking this question because we see of late, the medical contributions are very high. I think next year there's even a scheme that's charging up to 19% contribution increases, but the employee benefits are actually decreasing. And gap cover is almost becoming an imperative for every employee who is of employees who can afford it. So in reality, the medical costs are going high. Employers are not necessarily paying increases that are aligned to the medical inflation. So what is the best approach to help employers avoid duplication in these initiatives, but just structure a program that is fit for purpose and maybe even embracing digital technology to help them achieve that? Thank you.
Awesome. Excellent question. Alan, I'll hand over to you. I'm not sure if you want to ask a different question or respond to Dr. Nomonde's question there, but I fully agree, and I think uh, that is exactly the work WASA aims to do, is to illustrate to employers how their contribution can have both value of investment as well as return on investment. But it starts with with an approach. It starts with the undertaking from the employer um, to commit, uh, to sign the code of conduct, to do the audit, to measure, to monitor, to have a wellness committee in place. Um, so that is really, the work WASA does, is to hold the employer's hand in that process. And fortunately, there is enough um, actuaries and the likes that can assist ensuring that the returns is there. But primarily, if we want to fix the total health ecosystem of South Africa and Southern Africa, for that matter, it really starts with the employer. And although it might feel, like you say, Dr. Namonde, that the employer pays the most, it is also the employer and obviously the employee that stands the most to gain from a healthy and productive workforce. So that is really the challenge, I believe. Alan, do you want to
Thank,
add to that?
thank you, Chris. I think Doc is spot on. We know that healthcare inflation tracks at around about 3-4% headline inflation, and it's just escalating. And if you look, she's 100% right in terms of there are schemes, medical schemes in double digits, but so does the employer investment into EAP, into on-site servicing in terms of health also escalate. Generally, Doc, my view is that corporate organizations measure their strategy output in 4 areas, namely quantity, quality, cost, and the standard is fundamental that we're talking about today is the people standard. Now, if you look at quantity and quantity related to production and outputs and so on, quality, financial targets and so on, and cost is, of course, a big issue, budgets and reduction of overheads in terms of operating cost and so on. In the people standard, there are generally 8 to 10 standards that needs measurement, be it absenteeism, be it sickness, be it chronicity, and so on. And the 8 to 10 standards are all fragmented, and many of the presenters spoke today about fragmentation. One can only reduce that kind of cost on the people standard if it's an integrated strategy. We got to understand what medical aid cost is. We've got to understand what absenteeism cost is, and so on and so on. So once we've unpacked those standards, and I think that's, Chris, that's where WASA can come to the party in a big way by formulating the template in terms of how to integrate into the strategic imperatives of the business and making sure that as we deal with cost elements, as we deal with production elements in the mining environment, and so on, we deal in the integrated format the same with the people standard. It's quantifying the people standard, including the measurements, and ensuring that it is measured and managed like we would measure any part of the strategy. It's the only way, in my opinion, Doc, that we will reduce this fundamental that you talk about escalating cost in healthcare. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Alan. Any more questions? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm then going to conclude. And I think, yeah, great questions there. The cost for the employer, the benefit for the employer, and but I'd really like to just steal a few of Dr. van Zuydam's thoughts there. And personally, I'm very energized about this concept of the corporate athlete. And I think if we all just start looking at our organization as high performance sports teams coming to apply their trade, apply their sport in business every single day. Um, South Africa has got I think, better than average if you consider our resources and our population, results on the sports field. Why not change that to get better than average results on the business front and in the workplace? So with that, I leave you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you, and we hope we will all see you as WASA founder employers. Thank you so much.